At my 16th birthday, my Aunt Eva accused me of stealing her jewelry in front of everyone. My mom said, "Let us check your stuff, Luca." A week later, Eva found it, but no one ever gave my gifts back. Not even an apology. I didn't expect much for my 16th birthday. Maybe dinner with my parents, a couple texts from friends, and if I was lucky, a new pair of headphones. So when Aunt Eva called out of nowhere and insisted on throwing me a party at her place, I was honestly thrown off. She hadn't exactly been close. Growing up, she was that aunt who sent a birthday card 3 weeks late and always spelled my name wrong. We never talked unless we ran into each other at family gatherings. So her sudden enthusiasm felt weird. But she was going all out. Streamers in my favorite colors, a giant banner with my name, cupcakes with little video game characters on them. She even ordered personalized party favors. And every time I thanked her, she brushed it off like it was nothing. "You only turned 16 once, Luca," she kept saying with a huge smile. This has to be unforgettable. I started to think maybe I'd judged her wrong. Maybe she was just trying to make up for lost time. The whole family showed up. My parents, Austin and Sophie, my cousins, a few neighbors, even Everly, who I hadn't seen in months. Everyone seemed surprised by how much effort Eva had put in. My mom whispered something about how this was the most she's done for anyone since her wedding, and my dad just raised his eyebrows and nodded. We did the usual cake and presents thing. That part actually went pretty well. I got gift cards, a couple of t-shirts, and a watch from my parents that I hadn't expected. But what caught my attention was Eva. She hovered beside me the entire time, phone in hand, taking pictures of each gift as I opened it. And not just pictures, she took notes. Literally wrote down who gave what in this tiny leather notebook. "Just making sure everything is remembered," she said when I looked confused. "Some people forget who got them what." She disappeared upstairs at least 4 times during the party. Once right after the cake. Another time in the middle of the gift opening. Each time, she'd return 10 minutes later, breathing a little heavier, brushing crumbs off her sweater, as if she was sneaking snacks or something. Nobody else seemed to notice, but I did. I wanted to enjoy the party. I really did. But there was something off. Eva's energy wasn't just enthusiastic. It was jittery. Like she was too into it. Like this wasn't just a party, but something more important to her. Something she was keeping from the rest of us. And even though I smiled and thanked her and posed for the photos she kept shoving in my face, I couldn't shake the weird feeling in my gut. Something about all of this just didn't add up. The party was winding down. People had eaten, chatted, and made their way to the living room for coffee and Eva's homemade lemon bars. I was sitting on the couch, trying to figure out how to quietly slip away without looking ungrateful, when Eva stood up and clapped her hands twice. "Everyone, I need your attention," she said, voice sharp like she was about to make an announcement. I thought maybe she was going to thank everyone for coming or pull out some slideshow of my baby pictures. But no, she turned and looked straight at me. "My diamond bracelet and sapphire ring are missing," she said flatly. "And I believe Luca took them." At first, everyone just stared. No one even blinked. I laughed, actually laughed, because it had to be a joke. But Eva's face didn't change. "What?" I said, sitting up straighter. "Are you serious?" She nodded slowly, pulling out her phone. "I keep my jewelry in a locked case in the upstairs bedroom. After dinner, I went to check on something and noticed the case had been moved. When I opened it, the bracelet and ring were gone." I looked at my mom and dad, waiting for them to shut this down. My dad frowned, clearly confused, while my mom looked like she wasn't sure if Eva had hit her head or what. "I haven't even been upstairs," I said quickly. "Why would I take your jewelry?" "That's not what my phone says," Eva replied, turning the screen toward the room. It was a blurry photo, looked like the top of someone's head coming around the staircase. "This was taken 20 minutes after the party started," she continued. "And unless someone here has a twin with Luca's haircut, it's him." "That could be anyone," I shouted, now standing. "And I haven't left the living room except to use the bathroom, downstairs." Eva didn't flinch. "I noticed you weren't around during the cake cutting. I went upstairs then and saw the jewelry box had been moved." "That's because you kept disappearing upstairs," I snapped. "You were the one always gone." Eva tilted her head like she was disappointed in me. "You're only making yourself look worse." My dad tried to speak up, but Eva cut him off. "And let's not forget, this isn't the first time something's gone missing when Luca was around." That hit like a punch to the chest. "What are you talking about?" "Christmas 3 years ago," she said, looking around the room like she was laying out evidence in a courtroom. "The missing gift card from the table? The cash Sophie left in her purse that vanished at the reunion?" My mom's face tightened. My dad looked down at his hands. "You can't be serious," I muttered. "You think I've been stealing from you for years?" Eva folded her arms. "I think people have been too quick to make excuses for you." The room went quiet. Then my dad stood and cleared his throat. Let's look around first. Maybe it was misplaced." "No," Eva said, voice cold. He was the only one upstairs. I want the gifts taken away for now, just until we figure this out. What? I turned to my parents. You can't be okay with this. My mom looked pained. Luca, just let us check your stuff. It's probably just a misunderstanding. And just like that, my birthday shifted from celebration to interrogation. My parents hesitated, but in the end, they helped Eva gather up all the gifts, every last one. The watch, the gift cards, even the stupid t-shirts. I just stood there, trying not to shake. Trying not to say something I couldn't take back. Because if I opened my mouth again, I knew I'd explode. And all I could think about was that stupid notebook Eva had been writing in earlier, like she was planning this from the start. The next 10 minutes felt like they were moving in slow motion. Eva had taken control of the room, directing people like a wedding planner on a meltdown. Just place the gifts back on the table. We'll sort it out after we get clarity, she said, waving her hand like this was all perfectly reasonable. My cousins looked uncomfortable, awkwardly placing the presents they'd given me, half of them still wrapped, back into a pile like they were contaminated. I didn't move. I was frozen, watching everything fall apart while trying to convince myself this couldn't actually be happening. I want him to empty his pockets, Eva said suddenly. Right here. That snapped me out of it. Are you serious? If you didn't take anything, then what's the problem? She asked, folding her arms again. I looked at my dad. You're really okay with this? He didn't meet my eyes. Let's just get it over with. So I emptied them. Phone. A crumpled $5 bill. The receipt from the gas station where I grabbed a soda on the way to her house. That's all. I even turned them inside out. Now your backpack, Eva added, nodding at the small bag I'd brought with my hoodie and some snacks. I opened it up, showed every item. Still nothing. So? I said, my voice sharp, louder than I meant it to be. Happy. Eva just pursed her lips and glanced at my mom. I still think we should hold on to the gifts. Just in case. In case of what? I snapped. So I don't sell them to fund my secret jewelry smuggling operation? Luca, my mom warned under her breath, but her voice had that wavering tone. She wasn't angry, she was scared. Scared that Eva might be right. That maybe she didn't know me like she thought she did. You're treating me like a criminal, I said, looking around the room at all the people who were supposed to love me. Do you hear yourselves? Everly, my cousin, stepped forward. This isn't right, she said quietly. He didn't do anything. I was with him most of the night. He never went upstairs. Eva rolled her eyes. Sweetheart, I appreciate your loyalty, but you're still young. You don't know everything that goes on. Neither do you. Everly fired back, her voice shaking. Eva didn't respond. She didn't have to. Everyone else had already decided which side to be on. And it wasn't mine. My mom gently touched my arm. Just let it go for now, she said. We'll figure it out after. I promise. But I knew better. I watched his relatives slowly, awkwardly, picked up the gifts they'd given me. Some apologized. Most didn't. They just grabbed the boxes and backed away like I was contagious. The room had gone from festive to cold in a matter of minutes. Everyone whispering, avoiding eye contact. The same people who'd been laughing over cupcakes were now treating me like a suspect in a police lineup. And there I was, standing in the middle of it all, completely humiliated. My face burned, my chest felt hollow, and in my head, I kept asking one question over and over. How did they turn on me so fast? The ride home was dead silent. I sat in the back seat, staring out the window as the lights of the neighborhood passed by. My mom was up front, arms crossed, eyes locked on the road like she was trying not to look back. My dad kept shifting in his seat, drumming his fingers on the door like he wanted to say something but didn't know how. No one said happy birthday. No one said anything. When we finally pulled into the driveway, I didn't move. I just sat there, hand on the door handle, trying to figure out what had just happened. Luca, my dad said quietly, not turning around, is there anything you want to tell us? I let out a breath, laughing under it. No, Dad. I don't have some secret stash of stolen jewelry. I didn't take anything. My mom turned around. Then help us understand what happened, she said, her voice soft but edged with disappointment. Because you were the only one not accounted for when Eva noticed the jewelry was missing. I didn't go upstairs. I said, louder than I meant to. I've said it 5 times already. You've been moody lately, my dad said, glancing at me through the mirror. And sometimes when kids feel like they're not getting enough, they do things without thinking. I stared at him. So now I'm stealing because I'm moody? He didn't answer. I got out of the car and slammed the door harder than I meant to. They followed me inside, but I went straight to my room. I could hear them whispering in the kitchen, voices low, tired. I didn't care what they were saying. Not anymore. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, and I made myself 2 promises. 1. I would never forget how fast they turned on me. How one accusation from a relative who barely talked to me before this was enough to make them question everything they thought they knew. And 2. I was going to find a way to never need them again. A few days later, Eva found the jewelry. Said it had fallen behind the dresser. She texted my mom a weak apology. But by then, it didn't matter. The damage was done. I thought things would go back to normal after Eva found her jewelry. They didn't. No one ever said the words, "We're sorry." Not really. Not my parents, not Eva, not any of the people who took back my birthday gifts like they were evidence in a crime scene. Everyone just kind of moved on. Like it never happened. Except I couldn't. A couple weeks passed. Then a couple months. I kept waiting for things to shift back, for someone to pull me aside and actually talk to me like a human being. But all I got were awkward silences and carefully neutral texts. Then Thanksgiving came around. Normally, we'd drive out to Aunt Eva's house for dinner. Stuffing, dry turkey, fake smiles. But that year, my mom knocked on my door 2 nights before and said, "Maybe you should skip this one." I blinked. "What?" "I just think it might be better," she said quickly, not meeting my eyes. "You know, with everything that happened, it might feel tense." Tense. I repeated. "So now I'm the one making people uncomfortable?" She didn't answer. So I stayed home. Alone. Ate cold pizza and watched old movies while my family laughed around Eva's table without me. No one FaceTimed. No one sent a plate. It was like I'd just quietly been erased from the family photo. And it kept happening. Christmas? Too much tension, my dad said. "Let's just have a small thing this year." 4th of July? "We didn't think you'd want to come," Mom texted. Every excuse chipped away at me until I stopped asking. Until I stopped expecting to be included. The only one who kept in touch was Everly. She texted me updates from gatherings I was no longer invited to. Screenshots of Eva's posts. Pictures of the family smiling like nothing had happened. Sometimes she'd say, "It's so fake without you here," or "They pretend like you chose not to come." I appreciated it. I really did. But her texts were just reminders of how far gone everything was. So I kept my head down. I picked up extra shifts at the electronics store. I buried myself in schoolwork. I stopped trying to fix anything and started planning my way out. Because the message was clear, they weren't pushing me away to punish me. They were rewriting the story. And in their version, I had just chosen to disappear. After everything that happened, I stopped thinking of myself as part of a family. Not in the way people usually mean it. No Sunday dinners. No inside jokes. No, we've got your back. It was just me now. And honestly, that became my strength. I threw myself into school. I started treating my grades like they were my escape ticket, which they were. I spent lunch breaks in the computer lab, teaching myself programming, watching videos, building websites from scratch. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. My world became lines of code and a quiet plan to leave everything behind. After school, I worked at a local tech store. It wasn't glamorous, but I liked it. Organizing the shelves, fixing small electronics, helping confused parents pick out laptops for their kids. My manager, James, took a liking to me. He saw how fast I picked things up, how I stayed late without being asked. One day, he asked me what I wanted to do long-term. "Something in tech," I said, not really expecting much. "You've got a head for it," he said. "Stick with me. I'll teach you what I know." And he did. He showed me how to handle clients, how to troubleshoot like a pro, even let me shadow him when he worked on freelance projects. I started making money building simple websites for small businesses. It wasn't much at first, but it added up. By 18, I had real savings. Not pocket change, real money. I opened a Roth IRA, made a spreadsheet tracking every dollar I spent. I didn't go out. I didn't buy dumb stuff. I had a plan, and it was working. When I got my scholarship offer from a university out of state, full tuition for computer science, I didn't even hesitate. I packed a single suitcase, said goodbye to Everly, and left without telling the rest of the family. No dramatic exit. No guilt. Just quiet freedom. College was a fresh start. No one there knew what happened at my 16th birthday. No one saw me as the kid who maybe stole something. I was just another student grinding hard, chasing something bigger. Back home, Eva kept spinning her version of the story. Everly sent me screenshots sometimes. Stuff like, "Luca doesn't really like family things," or "He's always been distant." I didn't reply. I didn't care. They had their version of me. But I was busy building the real one. College felt like breathing clean air after living in a smoky house for too long. For the first time in my life, no one had expectations of me except the ones I set for myself. I wasn't the kid who stole from his aunt, or the moody teenager. I was just Luca, the guy in the front row, the guy who raised his hand, the guy who stayed up until 2 debugging broken code because he actually cared. I majored in computer science and minored in business, which felt like building my own toolbox. By sophomore year, I was already freelancing, building websites, troubleshooting networks, even consulting for a startup a grad student was launching. I made enough to stop worrying about money. Enough to send Everly a nice birthday gift without blinking. Enough to finally buy the kind of laptop I used to only stare at in tech store windows. I never posted about it. Never bragged. But word got around. People noticed when I stopped applying for on-campus jobs and started driving a decent used car instead of riding the bus. A professor connected me with a local company for an internship, paid. That turned into a summer job, which turned into a recommendation letter, which turned into a six-figure offer before I even graduated. The kind of job people dream about. Meanwhile, back home, the narrative hadn't changed. Everly still kept me in the loop, mostly through late-night text with screenshots from Facebook or whispered phone calls while she walked the dog. Eva says you're obsessed with money now, she told me one night. She told everyone you work like a robot and probably don't even have friends. I laughed. Well, she really doesn't give up. Everly sighed. It's like, she needs to be right about you. Like if you come out of this successful and normal, then the whole thing back then was a lie. Because it was, I said flatly. I know, she replied. They said I was distant. They said I abandoned family. They painted me as cold, arrogant, and greedy. What they didn't say was that I had no reason to come back. That I built something they never believed I could. And I didn't need their approval anymore. I had a new apartment, a new job waiting, and no one waiting to take anything from me. No one twisting facts to fit their comfort. Except Everly. She stayed. She didn't take sides, she just listened. And she never tried to pull me back into the mess. She only kept the lights on in case I ever wanted to peek back. But I didn't. Not really. It was a Thursday evening when I heard the knock. I wasn't expecting anyone. I had just gotten home from work, kicked off my shoes, and was halfway through reheating leftovers when the doorbell rang. I opened it without checking the peephole. There she was. And Eva. She looked nothing like the version of her I remembered. Her hair was frizzed, her eyes red and puffy, makeup smeared like she'd been crying or trying not to cry for hours. She held her purse in both hands like it was a shield. Luca, she said. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't move. I lost everything, she blurted. There was this investment group online. It looked legitimate. High returns, fast withdrawals. I put everything in. I stayed quiet. It was a scam, she whispered. My savings, my emergency fund, even some of the equity I took from the house. Gone. I leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed. Why are you here? Her eyes flicked up to mine. Because I need help. I thought maybe you could loan me some money to get back on my feet. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her. This woman who humiliated me on my birthday, who turned my family against me, who never apologized, not really. She started crying. I know what I did was awful. I know I hurt you. I was wrong, Luca. I see that now. I let her cry. Then I stepped inside, came back with an envelope, and held it out to her. She stared at it. What's this? A check, I said. Enough to cover your debts and then some. She reached for it, but I didn't let go just yet. But there are conditions. She paused. What kind of conditions? You're going to make a statement. Publicly. To the family. You're going to admit what you did to me, how you lied, how you manipulated everyone, and how you never found that jewelry behind the dresser like you claimed. Her jaw tightened. That's a lot. I didn't blink. That's the price. She looked down at the check again, hands trembling. And, I added, you're going to enroll in financial counseling. With proof. And you're never going to ask me for help again. Not a dollar. Not a ride. Not a favor. For a second, I thought she might throw the envelope at me. Instead, she nodded. Okay, she whispered. I let go. As she walked away, small, broken, humiliated, I didn't feel pity. I felt peace. Because for the first time, she needed something from me. And this time, I made the rules. A week after Eva took the check, she followed through. She sent out a carefully worded email to the entire family. No sugarcoating. No excuses. Just a plain confession. That she had falsely accused me on my 16th birthday. That the photo she used was misleading. That she lied about finding the jewelry behind the dresser. That she did it out of suspicion and pride and never thought it would go as far as it did. And that she was sorry. My mom forwarded it to me with one line. We had no idea. I didn't reply. 2 days later, my dad called. I didn't answer. And then came Everly. Did you see the email? She texted. They're all in shock. Good, I wrote back. They should be. But I wasn't done yet. I printed out one last check. This one wasn't for Eva. It was for a youth education nonprofit, an organization that helped underprivileged teens get access to laptops, coding programs, and college prep resources. I donated it in my parents' names. The receipt was sent to their house. No note. No warning. Just a letter from the foundation thanking Austin and Sophie Delarenes for their generous contribution to the future of underserved youth. Everly called me that night, laughing so hard she was almost in tears. Luca, she said, you are unreal. I can't believe you did that. I figured, I said casually, since they always said they raised me better, they might as well have something to show for it. There was a long pause on the line. Then her voice softened. I'm proud of you. You know? I know. I hadn't planned to see anyone after that, but one more visit came. Eva again. She showed up one last time, holding an envelope with the counseling registration inside, like it was some kind of proof that she was doing the work. Thank you, she said. For everything. I don't deserve it, but thank you. I nodded. You're welcome. She started to cry, standing there on my doorstep. I just wish I'd been kind back then. If I just... I cut her off. Calm. Cold. Honest. If you'd just been kind, I would have helped you without asking for anything. She flinched. Then I closed the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't say anything else. I just closed it. And for the first time in years, it felt like the story was over. No more guilt. No more trying to explain myself. No more proving anything to anyone. I walked back inside, alone, successful, and absolutely free. That was the real revenge. Living well, on my terms, and never needing them again.